All right, former LAUSD Superintendent and Deputy Mayor Austin Beutner is challenging Mayor Karen Bass in the June 2026 race, arguing the city has spent billions without real results on homelessness, housing, and safety. In his campaign video, he takes aim at both Bass and President Donald Trump and says Los Angeles needs to change. And Austin Beutner joins me live in studio right now. Austin, thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Pleasure to see you. Thanks for having me.
You know, one of the key accomplishments Mayor Karen Bass often cites is that homelessness is down in the city of Los Angeles. But just this week, we learned that, in fact, a new report says it's not.
Well, RAND, so the internationally renowned think tank based in Santa Monica, took a look at that point-in-time count. And I think we all understand the challenge in a point-in-time count. They told us 8,000 people might have not been counted, which means maybe it's up, not down. They told us that the app the city uses to keep track of all this is dysfunctional. And we know from what firefighters tell us, each year under Mayor Bass, there have been increases in the number of calls to help people experiencing homelessness. That's truth. That you can't argue with that.
Well,
data.
you know, we've done that investigative piece about the homeless fires rising so dramatically. Do you think the mayor knows that homelessness is not, in fact, down? Or you think that she's just relying on inaccurate data because that count is really more of an estimate?
You need to have to ask her. I think we all know it because we see it. It's a humanitarian crisis. 7 people dying on the streets every night. Obviously what we're doing isn't working. You know, the definition of insanity, just doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. But let's start with a candid assessment of where we are. Let's just assume it's flat.
Yeah.
Rand tells us maybe it's up, maybe it's down a little bit, but it's tragic, epic in scale. We see it every day. Risk of fires, risk of safety. We don't know how much is being spent and whether it's having an impact.
So you want a closer look at the numbers, you want an audit.
That's a place you start, which is, okay, how much are we spending? What are we supposed to get for it? Are we getting anything for it? Do more of what's working and less of what's not. And there was a report quite recently, the city spent $20 million for a 30-unit hotel 3 years ago.
Yes.
No one has spent a night there. We know that's not working. Let's quit wasting money like that.
You know, so many people are upset about that. Everyone, all Angelenos want to help, but when the money goes nowhere, there are a lot of concerns. We all thought that, and many people still do believe that Mayor Karen Bass is addressing homelessness. You actually believed it at one point. You supported her. You raised money for her. Why the sudden change?
I've known her a long time. I supported her. She did a great job in Congress. She was very effective in the Assembly. Mayor's a different job. Right now, we're facing an affordability crisis. We're facing a crisis of public safety, homelessness, and a crisis of confidence that we can actually start addressing these problems. We're talking about the same problems over and over again. No apparent progress. People see it every day. They see it every day, whether they're taking the bus or their car to work. They see the problems aren't getting addressed. It's time we change.
You know, the mayor has really won back some support in the wake of the fires with her battle against the Trump administration and her efforts to curb these immigration raids. How do you think she's done on that front, and what would you possibly do differently?
We have to stand up to bullies. We have to stand up to people who come into our community, the Trump administration, grab our friends and neighbors without justification, law-abiding people, going to work. There's a firefighter. He's been on the job 5 years, married, has a family. He's one of our neighbors. He's one of our friends. People who are committing crimes, of course. But part of what is happening is because we're not addressing our problems, that's when people like Donald Trump and his administration come into our community and say, well, if you're that rudderless, I'll come in. Well, no, we shouldn't be rudderless. We can address these problems.
But do you have the power? Do you have a different plan to deal with President Trump? Because that is the problem confronting Los Angeles on this issue.
Yeah, but if we get about our own business, look at what we did in schools during the pandemic. We fed people. That's not the charter of schools to feed children and adults. We started feeding people because I had the emergency authority to do so. We rallied the troops. We had thousands of people working to do it. We provided more meals to children and adults than any organization in the country. Now, during that, Donald Trump said, I should be fired on national TV. I put my head down, did the work. His attorney general called and said, you could be arrested because you're feeding children and adults, you're not taking IDs. I said, bring it on. Just call Ross. I want to make sure I got time to make sure my family's there. This is a righteous fight. We'll be in the fight. But the most important thing is we kept doing the work.
That's right. And really briefly, because we're almost out of time, unfortunately, but Donald Trump now also threatening to move the Olympics. If you become mayor, would you be powerful enough to stop that? What would your plan be there?
We're going to put on the greatest Olympics, the best show we've ever seen. We welcome the President of the United States to participate, but this is about Los Angeles. These are our Olympics. We're going to do a heck of a job.
And you're going to stand up to him.
100%.
All right, Austin Beutner, mayoral candidate, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, we're going to be speaking with Mayor Karen Bass live in studio in the next hour.